Revealed. 7 miraculous days of divine transformation when you put God first each morning. In the quaint village of Highbury, the air hummed with whispers of an extraordinary transformation, a promise that faith could reshape lives in miraculous ways. Sarah, a devoted mother, dove into this challenge, eager for hope amid her family's struggles. As dawn broke, she sensed a divine presence reigning over her plans. Little did she know, the next 7 days would reveal a tapestry of miracles that would forever alter their reality. On the first morning, as Sarah knelt in prayer, soft sunlight poured through the window, illuminating her faith-filled heart. She felt a warmth enveloping her, like a celestial hug from above. With each whispered request, she felt her worries lift into the heavens. But the day quickly shifted. Jack, her youngest, awoke with a fever, his small body trembling. Panic tugged at her, but she steadied herself, turning to prayer once more, trusting that God could heal him. "Lord, I give you my fear," she breathed, the weight of her heart lightening. As hours passed, trouble brewed beyond Jack's fever. A misunderstanding with a neighbor erupted, leaving harsh words hanging heavily in the air. Bills piled high, each one a reminder of their thinning bank account. Yet, with each challenge, Sarah gripped her faith tighter. She whispered scriptures into the air, seeking solace in the promises of God. Miraculously, almost as if it were choreographed by heaven itself, a neighbor offered her assistance without her asking. Tears streamed down Sarah's face in gratitude. "God, you see us," she murmured, feeling his presence knit hope into the fraying fabric of her family. Day 2 arrived, and with it, Michael's heart began to soften. He joined Sarah in prayer one evening, the air thick with a lingering chance of understanding. His doubts fell away, if even just for a moment, as the warmth of their shared faith illuminated the dark corners of uncertainty. Together they prayed, envisioning a pathway illuminated by their God. Moments like these ignited sparks of joy through their children, who noticed that laughter filled their home again. Then came day 3, where miracles accumulated like precious treasures. Jack's fever broke, laughter from Emily filled the halls, and the community bond grew stronger than ever. Sarah felt the divine presence nudging her closer to something beautiful each time she drew nearer to prayer. Every sunrise felt charged, every moment tinged with expectancy. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the 7th day approached, an unraveling drew near. Flames erupted in their home, consuming their sanctuary with frightening speed. Sarah stood amid the chaos, lungs burning, heart racing. Just when she felt her faith wane, sheer panic flooded her. Yet, amid the smoke and despair, she gathered her strength. She called her church community to pray. Oh, how they answered! Friends and believers gathered, surrounding her and Michael, hands raised in unity. As silence fell, their collective prayer resonated, stirring something divine in the wake of destruction. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, a mixture of fear and hope filling the room. In that moment, she sensed something magnificent was drawing near. With breaths held tight and eyes closed, she trembled with anticipation. Would God speak? Would they emerge transformed from this tempest? What miracle awaited them in the quiet aftermath, ready to awaken their spirits anew? The air thickened with possibility as they waited, hearts yearning for a sign. Could faith yet save them from the ashes? The moment dawned like a whisper of grace, fragile yet potent, as the soot and smoke began to settle. The church community stood united, still as statues, awaiting the unfolding of divine revelation that lingered just beyond the veil of their prayers. Sarah felt the weight of their collective faith pressing into her heart with an urgency that was both terrifying and exhilarating. She realized they were not just waiting, they were yearning for something miraculous to emerge from the chaos. And then it happened. A soft glow, just a flicker at first, began to radiate from the center of their gathering. Violet light danced like a gentle flame, weaving in and out of the shadows cast by the charred remnants of her home. Gasps escaped the lips of those present, their voices mingling in awe. Sarah, invigorated by a surge of courage, approached the glow. It pulsed with a comforting rhythm, echoing the beat of her heart. "Lord, show us your mercy," she whispered, surrendering her fear, her loss, her hopes all amalgamated into that single, trembling plea. In that moment of vulnerability, Sarah sensed a profound shift. The burdens she had carried for so long began to feel lighter, as if the radiant presence was consuming her worries and transforming them into peace. Tears of gratitude filled her eyes as she lifted her clasped hands, every heartbeat a prayer of thanksgiving. As the group drew closer, the light intensified, wrapping them in an embrace of warmth and hope. They began to sing, voices rising with faith, blending together as harmoniously as a psalm. "Great is thy faithfulness," they lifted their praises high, and with each note, Sarah felt the desperation dissipate, slowly replaced by the assurance that God was truly present. Moments drifted, and the atmosphere shifted from despair to divine assurance. A stillness enveloped them, where even the concerns that had once been so burdensome felt far away. In the heart of this tranquility, Sarah's eyes popped open. She witnessed something miraculous, a neighborly figure emerging from the light. It was Mrs. Turner, someone she had barely spoken to before, yet here she stood, offering a basket, overflowing with food and provisions. "God told me to bring this," Mrs. Turner said, her voice edged with an unshakable certainty. Sarah's heart raced as she accepted the offering. It was not just material support. It symbolized unity, a manifestation of God's love binding the entire community together. That evening, while gathering with her family and what remained, they shared stories of their day-to-day of miraculous grace, woven tightly with hope. Michael, inspired by the outpouring of love, began recounting old family traditions they had lost to the grind of daily life. It felt like a resurrection of joy. Yet, even amid the warmth and laughter, a tinge of uncertainty hovered in the air. Would this new beginning last? As Sarah pondered the day's revelations, a deeper realization emerged. Divine moments didn't only come in grand gestures. Sometimes they were found in the simplicity of shared meals and exchanged smiles. With a renewed sense of faith, Sarah prepared for the dawn of a new day. What would tomorrow bring, she wondered. How could they shape this newfound love and connection? In pressing her hands together once more, she prayed for clarity. "Lord, lead us on the path that brings you glory." As she settled into the warmth of faith and family, the question hung in the air like an echo, awaiting divine response. What transformations awaited them just beyond the horizon? Would they continue to seek the light, or would doubts creep back in, shrouding their miracles in shadow? As the sun rose the next morning, a golden light broke through the remnants of the night. The promise of a fresh start filled the air, invigorating Sarah with renewed hope. She uncurled from the warmth of her bed, heart humming with anticipation. What would this day hold? Questions flickered in her mind like fireflies, tracing paths through her thoughts, hopes intertwined with fears. Gathering her family for breakfast, the familiar smell of coffee and toast mingled with the sweet scent of spirit-filled possibilities. They chatted eagerly, laughter bouncing off the walls, a soundtrack of resilience. The togetherness felt tangible, as if each word they exchanged were tiny miracles in themselves. "Today, let us do something special," Michael suggested, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Let us invite everyone over for a meal to show gratitude. Let them know they are appreciated for their kindness." Sarah felt her heart leap. The idea bubbled within her, urging her to act. It was as if the spirit itself whispered encouragement, illuminating the deep desire to share their blessings in return. "Yes, let us do it," she exclaimed. Planning began in earnest. Each family member took a role. Michael gathered supplies. Young Emma helped in the kitchen, while Sarah prayed for guidance. As pots simmered and the aroma of cinnamon wafted through the house, Sarah took a moment of stillness. With hands folded and eyes closed, she sought connection again. Lord, we give thanks for each person who has crossed our path. May this meal be a sign of our gratitude, a beacon of your love. In her heart, she felt warmth enveloping her, a quiet assurance that their actions were indeed worthy of divine light. When the time arrived, the guests started to trickle in a vibrant tapestry of neighbors and friends, each bringing laughter and stories. Mrs. Turner arrived with a fresh basket of goods, her smile radiant. "I couldn't miss this," she said, her joy lighting up the room. Mirth flowed freely as chairs scraped against the floor, voices rose in merry conversation, and an atmosphere of unity filled the space. As they settled down for the meal, Sarah noticed how the worries from the previous day slipped further away. The room pulsed with life, echoing the heartbeats of love shared among friends. Platefuls of colorful dishes were passed around, laughter punctuating each moment. In the midst of it all, Sarah felt a transformative energy, a lightness in her spirit. It took her back to the flicker they had all witnessed the day before, that divine spark illuminating hope in the darkest corners. This was it this gathered community represented their tomorrow, binding them in ways they never knew they needed. As plates emptied and stories intertwined, faith flourished in every moment. Sarah found herself overwhelmed with gratitude, her heart swelling with awareness of God's presence through these everyday miracles. But even amidst this warmth, a fleeting thought nagged at her. Would the grasp of uncertainty tighten again once the meals were consumed and the laughter faded? Would life, with its complexities and demands, overshadow these precious connections? With hesitant anticipation, Sarah pondered the days unfolding. Could they foster this spirit beyond one evening? How could they continue to nurture this bond in a world that often distracted them from the light? With these questions pressing on her mind, she pressed her palms together once more, praying for guidance. Lord, grant us the vision to carry this light forward. What will it reveal next? As Sarah caught the eye of her loved ones, she sensed a greater journey ahead. The seeds had been planted, but where would they blossom? Would they become a garden of miracles, vibrant and alive, or would they wither under doubt's heavy hand? The next morning brought with it a gentle breeze carrying the fresh scent of blooming flowers. Sunlight streamed through Sarah's kitchen window, spilling warmth across the table where the remnants of yesterday's gathering still lingered. A half-finished cup of tea, a scattering of crumbs, echoes of laughter just out of reach. Eager to recapture that sense of community, Sarah brewed a fresh pot of coffee, allowing the rich aroma to fill the air once more. As she poured, her heart brimmed with possibility. Could they do this again? Could they keep the spirit alive in their daily lives? Michael strode into the kitchen, still in his pajamas, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "What's the plan for today, love?" "Let us spend some time with Mrs. Turner," Sarah suggested, her mind racing with ideas. "I think she could use some company." "Good thinking. We can bring her a slice of that apple pie Emma made. She always raves about it." "Yes. And maybe we can create a little care package for her," Sarah replied. The words felt good, a mix of action and love. Emma skipped in, her hair bouncing with youthful energy. "Can I help?" she asked, her eyes bright. "Absolutely." Sarah smiled at her daughter, encouraged by her enthusiasm. Together, they gathered items, a few snacks, simple necessities, and of course, that beloved pie. As they prepared the care package, they chatted about their favorite moments from the gathering. Emma spoke of the stories that made her giggle, while Sarah infused her words with gratitude for everyone who had come together. As they set off for Mrs. Turner's home, the morning felt alive with potential. The path to her door was familiar yet new, each step resonating with intention. They knocked, and Mrs. Turner welcomed them with open arms, her smile unveiling a warmth that melted any lingering worries. "Good morning, dears." "Oh, how lovely to see you," she exclaimed, ushering them inside. The small living room was a melody of floral fragrances and cozy memories, inviting Sarah to pause and appreciate the simplicity of shared life. "Look what we brought for you," Emma said, presenting the care package with a flourish. "What a delightful surprise." Mrs. Turner clapped her hands, her eyes sparkling. "You're too kind. Come sit. Let us enjoy a bit of that pie together." As they sat, the conversation flowed effortlessly. They spoke of joys and challenges, moments of struggle transformed by the light of hope. Mrs. Turner shared stories from her youth, each tale a brushstroke, painting the canvas of her life. At times, tears glistened in her eyes as she recounted struggles and how faith had navigated her through darkness. "It's amazing how God has a way of putting people in our lives just when we need them," she whispered, looking deeply at Sarah. Her words resonated, tugging at something deep within. On the walk back home, Sarah's heart felt as if it would burst. This wasn't just about helping others. It was a reflection of God's love flowing through them, a connection knitting their hearts together. Each interaction reminded Sarah of the purpose that ever beckoned just beyond their doorstep. That evening, as they huddled around the table again, the meal felt even more special. It wasn't merely about food shared. They fed each other as spirits. Sarah pondered the day as events, wishing fervently that nurturing this bond would become second nature. But the shadows of doubt danced in the corners of her mind. Would they be able to sustain this momentum? What if the world outside pulled them apart once more? As the last crumb was swept away, she closed her eyes and prayed once more. "Lord, help us not just to shine today, but to carry this light forth into tomorrow." With her heart open and hopeful, Sarah felt a gentle nudge, a reminder of the heavenly possibilities ahead. Little did she know, this was only the beginning of a divine transformation waiting to unfold. What new opportunities would come their way? Would they be ready to embrace each revelation as it arrived? The next morning unfolded like a canvas brushed with warm hues of gold and pink. Sunlight danced through the kitchen window as Sarah, alert and inspired, prepared breakfast. Emma hummed a joyful tune while setting the table, her youthful spirit filling the home with uncontainable energy. Michael wandered in, his eyes shining with curiosity. "What's on our agenda today?" Michael asked, stifling a yawn. "I was thinking we could reach out to Mr. Jenkins," Sarah said. "I've noticed he hasn't been around much lately. We could check in on him, bring over some groceries." "Great idea. Everyone could use a bit of love," Michael replied, already imagining the joy it brought them all to spread kindness. "Yes, let us make it a little surprise." Emma chimed in, her excitement infectious. They swiftly gathered items: a loaf of bread, fresh fruits, and even a small potted plant that would bring cheer to Mr. Jenkins' living room. The thought of sharing this small act of service elevated the joy in their hearts. The drive to Mr. Jenkins' house offered Sarah time to reflect. The lush greenery lining the road felt like a silent witness to their mission, urging them to be instruments of grace. Each tree was a reminder that life is interconnected, and as she gazed out the window, she perceived beauty all around. A soft wind stirred, igniting a sense of wonder in her spirit. Arriving at Mr. Jenkins' home, they noticed his front garden, overrun with weeds. It seemed to reflect his current state taken by neglect. They knocked gently, and the door creaked open, revealing a weathered face peeking out with surprise. "Good morning," Sarah greeted warmly. "We brought you a little something." "Goodness, how thoughtful," Mr. Jenkins said, his voice thick with emotion. As they entered, the dim interior spoke of loneliness, but amidst the shadows, there was a flicker of light in his eyes. Together, they shared laughter over stories, mingling the old with the new, creating a vibrant tapestry of connection. Mr. Jenkins reminisced about the days of his youth, weaving tales of triumph and faith. Time slipped away. What started as a simple gesture blossomed into a moment soaked in shared humanity. The more they talked, the more Sarah sensed the weight lifting from Mr. Jenkins. It was as if every word of laughter they exchanged began to breathe life back into him. He confided, "I often find myself alone, but hearing you all today lifts my spirit like a new dawn breaking." As they left, Sarah felt a rush of warmth. Was this the divine nudge she had sought? Each day seemed to bring more clarity, revealing the manifold ways God intended her family to shine their light. That evening, gathered around the table, they savored a meal brimming with stories of joy and grace. "This feels like a new tradition," Michael remarked, echoing the sentiment they all shared. However, mingled with joy was a lingering question, whispering like the evening breeze. How far could this ripple of kindness extend? What if they turned their small efforts into a fuller embrace of their community? Challenged by the possibilities before them, Sarah's heart raced at the prospect. They had merely scraped the surface. Something greater was bubbling beneath, waiting to be unlocked. As Sarah closed her eyes to pray, she felt renewed faith washing over her. "Lord, we are open to your plan. Help us to follow wherever it leads." The anticipation thick in the air promised a new path unfolding, and with it came the knowing that they were on the brink of transformative change. What greater revelations awaited their family? Would they be the vessels God used to ignite a spirit of community far beyond their expectations? A week passed, each day woven from threads of faith and small acts of kindness. The sun rose anew, painting vibrant mornings that beckoned Sarah and her family to seek out more opportunities to touch their community. Each evening around the table, their shared stories became an outpouring of joy, weaving them closer together. On this particular morning, Sarah noticed a flicker of excitement in Michael's eyes as he bounced into the kitchen. "What if we visited the community center today?" he proposed, his voice alive with eagerness. "I heard they're hosting an event for families in need, and we could help." "Yes, that sounds incredible." Emma's enthusiasm was palpable. She quickly began gathering items for the center. "We can bring snacks and games. It'll be fun." As Sarah stirred the oatmeal, she felt an inner stirring, a call to not just witness, but participate in God's work. The thought of engaging with others, sharing in their needs and joys, ignited her spirit. "All right, let us be the hands and feet of Jesus today," she exclaimed, a smile spreading across her face. The drive to the community center was filled with laughter, anticipation, and a prayer in Sarah's heart that God would multiply their efforts. "Lord, guide us to those who need encouragement. Help us to shine your light," she whispered, feeling an invisible thread connecting her family as heartbeats. Upon arrival, they were met with a tapestry of activity. Children played, and parents gathered, rehearsing dreams of hope and the weight of their burdens. It was beautiful, chaotic, and so profoundly human. Sarah spotted a woman sitting alone on a bench, her eyes gazing wistfully at the laughter around her. Her heart tugged. "Michael, Emma, let us go talk with her." With determination, they approached the woman. "Hi there, I'm Sarah, and these are my kids, Michael and Emma," she introduced herself, her warmth evident. "What brings you here today?" "I came to get some resources," the woman replied, her voice quiet. But her words faded as a hint of vulnerability blinked in her eyes. "Everyone here is part of a community, and we're here to support each other," Michael said, heart racing, emboldened by the spirit of compassion. "Can we help?" The woman's gaze softened, and slowly, she began to share her story: finances strained, a job lost, and the struggle to care for her children. Each word, though heavy, began to lift with every shared breath. Sarah felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. "We might not have all the answers, but we're here with you. We can find resources together." Emma knelt beside her, warmth radiating from her youthful heart. "You're not alone. We're a family, and you can be part of our community, too." As they spoke, something shifted in the air. It was as if the atmosphere thickened with hope. A small crowd began to gather, drawn to the unfolding moment of connection. "Can you help us with the next event? We can cook together, share stories, create a bond," Sarah suggested, feeling inspired by the spirit's prompting. "Yes," the woman replied, her voice stronger now, hope visibly blooming. "I can bring my family. That would mean everything." In that moment, a ripple began to form. The connections deepened, and laughter erupted like a joyful chorus. The community center became a sanctuary where hearts interlocked. As the day unfolded, Sarah marveled at the faces, surrounding her a revolving stage of perspectives, all united for a common purpose. The kindness they'd shared had become a waterfall of grace and assurance. As they drove home, Sarah's heart resonated with gratitude. Was this the beginning? Had their simple steps taken in faith paved the way for something grander? The question lingered in the air, filled with divine promise. Were they merely scratching the surface of a community-driven transformation? What awaited them as they opened their hearts wider to God's love? Their journey was redefining what it meant to love and serve, and within it, the echo of a divine whisper trembled. You have only begun to draw upon my riches and glory. The days that followed were like a tapestry unfurling before Sarah and her family. Each morning, they woke up with a renewed sense of purpose and eagerness that shimmered in the sunlight streaming through their windows. The community center event, where they poured their hearts into connecting with others, had left a profound mark on them. On Saturday morning, Sarah's heart felt light, almost buoyant. She and her family gathered once again at the breakfast table, this time with a plan. What if we set aside a day each week for outreach? She suggested, her voice full of hope. We can make it our family mission to intercede for others. Like a family ministry? Emma's eyes sparkled with excitement, the thought igniting her imagination. We could invite more families to help too. Michael nodded, enthusiasm rippling through him. And we can share stories. Everyone has something to contribute. With shared excitement, they spent the day brainstorming ideas to engage their growing community. They envisioned picnic-style gatherings, game nights, and even workshops for skills that could lift others up. As Sarah watched them dream, she felt an undeniable wave of exhilaration wash over her, a glimpse of the divine potential within unity. That evening, filled with ideas and joy, they decided to invite the woman they had met at the community center, Clara, along with her family, to dinner. It could be a way to deepen our friendship, Sarah mused, her heart open to the unfolding connections in every cranny of community life. As the day approached, Sarah prepped with care, her kitchen filled with laughter and the scent of spices. Emma insisted on setting the table just right, while Michael busily whipped up a dessert to surprise Clara's kids. It's important to show them they're welcome, he said, his voice brimming with sincerity. When the doorbell rang, Sarah's heart thumped. Michael flew to the door, opening it with a wide grin. Clara stood there, her smile warm and inviting, flanked by two curious children. Thank you for having us. Clara beamed as she walked in, her demeanor filled with relief and delight. Over dinner, stories were shared, laughter echoed, and hopes took flight. Sarah noticed the way Clara's shoulders relaxed, how her laughter became freer, almost breaking through barriers worn thin by hardships. This feels like home, Clara said softly, tears glistening in her eyes. As the evening deepened, the conversation naturally turned from lighthearted tales to heavier burdens. I've been trying to find work, but the challenges feel endless, she confessed, her voice steady, but tinged with uncertainty. Sarah reached across the table and took Clara's hand. Let us pray right now, she suggested, her heart pulsating with compassion. The family joined hands, their spirits merging in a quiet sanctuary of empathy and hope. Lord, Sarah began, her voice resonating with sincerity, we know you are our provider. We ask for doors to be opened for Clara. Help her hold on to faith, trusting in your plan. As they prayed, an unexpected warmth filled the room. Sarah felt an unusual stillness settle, a divine assurance enveloping them. The presence of God swung wide open, as if inviting them into the very heart of his intentions. After they finished praying, Clara's expression shifted. I can feel something, she breathed, surprised but enlightened. I think everything will be all right. And just like that, a spark ignited in her. The night wore on, filled with smiles and shared hopes, the atmosphere now buzzing with a sense of possibility. As Clara left, her heart seemed lighter, a flicker of hope glowing deep inside. Sarah and her family stood at the doorway, watching the evening sky dissolve into deep hues of blue, minds racing with new opportunities and commitments. Could we really be part of something bigger? Sarah pondered. As they retreated into the warmth of their home, the question nestled deep within their hearts, weaving hope and purpose for the days ahead. What could God be drawing them into next through this newfound connection? The murmurs of divine possibilities swirled around them, and as their journey continued, a new revelation danced just out of reach, whispering, "There's much more waiting to be unveiled." The sun broke free from the horizon on a fresh Sunday morning, casting golden rays that danced in Sarah's kitchen. She felt a new awareness, a stirring in her spirit. Today was not only a day of worship, it was the first official family outreach day. That thought increased her anticipation. Michael and Emma joined her at the breakfast table, their eyes mirroring her enthusiasm. "What do you think we should do first?" Emma asked, her hands almost vibrating with joy. "Let us gather food for the local shelter," Sarah suggested, feeling a warmth spread through her heart. "It's a tangible way to meet needs directly." "Brilliant!" Michael exclaimed, quickly jotting down a list of items they could collect. Their energy was infectious, sparking ideas and expanding horizons. After breakfast, the family loaded their car with bags of non-perishable foods and warm clothing. They spoke about people they had met at the community center, hearts eager to support one another. As they drove to the shelter, they prayed over the people they would meet and the impact they could make together. Upon arriving, they were greeted by David, the shelter's coordinator. His face lit up at the sight of their donations. "This is a blessing. You all are making a difference," he said, his gratitude evident in every word. Sarah felt a flutter of purpose in her chest. "We're here to help however we can," she replied, determination leaping from her soul. The family spent the next couple of hours sorting clothes and packing food bags. Each item they handled represented a life they were impacting. They shared stories of hope with the volunteers, offering encouragement, while Sarah listened, her heart swelling with understanding and compassion. At one point, David gathered everyone to share a brief prayer. As he spoke, Sarah could feel the threads of unity weaving through everyone present. It was a moment when hearts clashed together in rhythmic faith, lifting each other up in the presence of God. Then came a moment that felt almost surreal. An elderly man named Harold approached Sarah with twinkling eyes. "I've been blessed by your kindness," he said gently. "You remind me that love is still alive in our world." Her throat tightened, his words wrapped around her spirit like a warm blanket. "It's our joy to serve," Sarah replied, her spirit radiant with divine connection. As the morning wore on, something unexpected happened. Clara arrived with her children, their faces flushed with relief. "I wanted to see how I could help too," she said, her spirit radiating newfound energy. Sarah's heart soared. This was the ripple effect she had hoped for, love inspiring others to act. Clara jumped right in, helping with the packing and sharing bits of hope in conversation. The children laughed, playing with others in the corner, their giggles like anointed music filling the space. After several hours of hard work, they wrapped up with a small gathering. Sarah felt bold and spoke on behalf of her family. "We didn't just come to give, we came to connect. Let us make this outreach something we continue to do together." An overwhelming cheer erupted, voices joined in unison. As they said their goodbyes and headed back home, excitement swirled around Sarah and her family. They weren't just participants in this movement. They were becoming a part of a beautiful tapestry of grace. In the tranquility of the evening glow, Sarah pondered. What if this was just the beginning? What if God's plan for them was much larger than they could fathom? As they settled in at home, a thought echoed in her heart. What extraordinary door might God open next? The question lingered like a sweet aroma, rich with promise. The next morning dawned with a sun that seemed eager to share its warmth. Sarah awoke with a heart full of expectation. The events of the previous day had soothed her soul, yet a holy curiosity ignited within her. What was God preparing for them next? She felt a call to seek more, to stretch her faith beyond familiar limits. "Good morning, sleepyheads," Sarah sang as she entered the kitchen. Michael and Emma were still groggy but quickly stirred at the smell of fresh coffee and warm cinnamon rolls. She placed the treats on the table and joined them, her heart racing with excitement for what lay ahead. "Can we help someone today?" Emma asked, her voice still thick with morning light. The eagerness in her daughter's tone filled Sarah with joy. "Absolutely," Sarah replied, and a bubbling enthusiasm began to spread through the room. "Let us not just gather food this time. Let us share not only our resources but our time with someone who truly needs it." "What about visiting the elderly folks from the community?" Michael suggested, his face lighting up as he contemplated their possible encounters. "Maybe we could bring them lunch, or even just spend some time talking with them." "Yes, I love that idea," Sarah exclaimed, feeling a surge of affirmation flow through her. "Let us bring comfort and conversation. That's just as important as the food." After breakfast, the family organized their plan. They packed sandwiches, fruit, and small gifts, a stack of muffins, and some homemade cards. As they drove through town, they prayed, asking for God to prepare the way and open hearts. Arriving at the elder care facility, anticipation hung in the air. The building stood dignified and inviting, adorned with flowers that swayed gently in the breeze. Sarah felt a tingling in her spirit, a sense that they were exactly where they were meant to be. When they entered, a chorus of smiles greeted them. The staff welcomed the family warmly. Sarah could see kindness lighting up the eyes of the residents, many of whom looked weary yet hopeful at the sight of visitors. They gathered in a cozy lounge, adorned with pictures and cheerful decorations. Sarah introduced her family, their voices ringing like notes of a joyful melody. The initial shyness melted as sandwiches were shared, stories exchanged, and laughter mingled with heartfelt moments of remembrance. There was a lady named Mrs. Thompson, whose eyes sparkled with mischief. "You know," she said with a grin, picking a muffin from the tray, "I once danced with the mayor at the town gala." Her voice was vibrant, infusing the room with light. Sarah laughed. "That sounds delightful. Tell us more." As the stories traveled from one resident to another, Sarah felt the tangible presence of God mingling among them. Conversations flowed effortlessly, yet something deeper was at play. She watched as hearts opened, faces brightened, and an evident joy began to replace the earlier heaviness. Michael took a seat next to a gentleman named Mr. Edwards. They spoke of fishing trips and the joys of simple pleasures. Meanwhile, Emma was busy drawing sketches for everyone, her crayons bringing to life tiny snippets of joy amidst the more somber tales of yesteryears. Then, a soft-spoken man approached Sarah with a humbled demeanor. "You remind me so much of my daughter," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "Your kindness, it feels like home." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. "We are all family in Christ," she whispered, feeling a connection that transcended age and distance. As they prepared to leave, gratitude filled the room. The residents waved goodbye, their spirits uplifted, and Sarah's family departed with fuller hearts. Driving home, something stirred in Sarah's spirit. There was a greater purpose nudging at the corners of her heart, a whisper urging her onward. She turned to Michael and Emma, excitement dancing in her voice. "What if we could make this a weekly commitment? A way of life? What is God asking of us next?" A heavy stillness enveloped them, a sacred pause that resonated with potential. They were on the brink of something immeasurable, and the question hung in the air, echoing in the void of uncertainty. "What miracle awaits us tomorrow?" Emma asked, her voice mixed with hope and wonder, as they drove down the sleepy streets bathed in twilight. As the sun rose on the 8th day, Sarah awoke with a heart full of expectation and gratitude. The morning light streamed through the window, illuminating the remnants of last night's laughter and love shared at the elderly care facility. She could feel it, a divine pull, an insistent whisper that ignited a fire within her. "Mom, breakfast is ready." Emma's cheerful voice soared through the house, wrapping around Sarah like a warm embrace. Gathering around the table once more, they shared stories of hope from the past week. Each anecdote sparkled with the brilliance of divine presence, illuminating how their faith had grown, intertwining their family's path with many others. Michael could hardly contain his enthusiasm. What if we invite more families to join us next week? We can make this outreach even bigger. Yes, exclaimed Emma. Let us create a community day where everyone can come together, food, games, and sharing stories of faith. Sarah's heart swelled with joy. What a brilliant idea! We need to call Clara and the others to bring them into this vision. As they plotted their plans, hope surged through Sarah. The Spirit moved unexpectedly through each of their conversations, drawing them closer to a purpose that felt much larger than themselves. After breakfast, Sarah dialed Clara. We have an idea, she began, excitement bubbling over. What if we organize a community day? It could be a celebration of all the connections God has led us to. Clara's voice sparkled with enthusiasm. Count me in. I've been wanting to reach out to more families and invite them. It'll be wonderful. As the days unfolded, there was a crescendo of preparations, a flurry of excitement that enveloped the town. Together, community members pulled their resources, filled with the spirit of giving. They pooled food, games, and most importantly, love. Finally, Community Day arrived. Sunshine bathed the gathering place, a garden adorned with colorful decorations, laughter twinkled in the air, and joy bubbled like a fresh spring. Sarah stood at the entrance, holding Emma's hand. Can you believe this? She breathed. So many hearts are here today. Michael stepped beside them, scanning the crowd. Look at all the families, this is incredible. As they welcomed neighbors and friends, the atmosphere radiated warmth. Laughter mingled with the scent of delicious food as hearts opened like petals unfurling in the sun. Conversations drifted like wind through leaves. When Clara arrived with her family, Sarah's heart soared. They embraced, energized by the love of shared mission. Look at all we've created together. Clara marveled, her eyes dancing with happiness. They organized games, storytelling sessions, and heartfelt prayers that transcended every background, uniting the community in glorious harmony. Sarah witnessed the power of God wrapping around the group as pain and burden softened under the weight of connection, joy, and hope. As the sun dipped lower, casting its golden glow across the gathered faces, Sarah found a quiet moment. She stepped aside, her heart blazing with gratitude. God, I give you thanks for every blessing, for revealing your love in these connections. What did I do to deserve this? With a deep breath, she surrendered her fears. In the silence that followed, warmth enveloped her like a divine embrace. As night began to paint the sky, they gathered around a bonfire, sharing testimonies of transformation. The flickering flames danced, mirrors of the light igniting within each heart, igniting desires to share God's grace even further. I never knew this sense of belonging before, one neighbor spoke, tears glistening in the firelight. Thank you for reminding me that love exists, and I am not alone. With every shared experience, Sarah felt chains of isolation breaking, hearts connecting in the sacred fabric of community. She marveled at how God was moving, how he had woven them into something incredibly beautiful. Suddenly, a stillness washed over them, accompanied by whispering winds. Sarah glanced around at the faces lit by firelight, hope, joy, and profound peace radiating from each one. Here was healing, transformation, and divine purpose known fully and intimately, the culmination of a week-long journey of faith. As the event drew to a close, Sarah took a moment to reflect. How could they sustain this love? How could they ensure it flourished beyond this beautiful evening? Stepping up, she addressed the gathered friends, her voice resonating in emotion. Let us not let this night end here. Let us commit to carrying this spirit forward, engaging and loving each other daily. We were made for community. Cheers erupted around the fire, filled with fervor. Yes, let us do it. Echoes filled the night air, a resounding promise of dedication and love. With hearts ablaze, they each looked to the horizon ahead, knowing their journey was just beginning. What new heights of joy awaited them? what miracles could unfold when they continued to seek God's presence actively in their lives and community. The night ended, but the flame ignited would burn bright. The love they had discovered, the bonds forged, would propel them toward even deeper dreams, a destiny guided by divine purpose. As Sarah embraced Michael and Emma under the starlit sky, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over her. These connections were sacred, woven with the threads of God's love. Their community, empowered by faith, would continue to grow, creating ripples that would transform lives far beyond their own. This was the turning point, the promise of true change blossoming in their lives. You need to subscribe now to witness the next exclusive faith stories that will ignite your spirit. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and bring hope to others. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of love and faith.